guys, today I'm going to share with you a technique that helped me release and let go of some extremely difficult feelings and old patterns and ways of thinking that were really holding me back and causing feelings of grief, loss, and lack of self-worth. In my case, I had just gone through the breakup of my first relationship. But the technique can be used for any negative emotion, regardless of what's going on. It will help you gently release it so you're free of the negative feelings and you can experience peace and self-love and acceptance. I know that a breakup might not sound very serious compared to all the other things that might happen to a person, but we're all human and we feel from the same space, and this technique will help you release the suffering regardless of where it is coming from, and it will also release and help you recognize the root of it, because often when we're unconscious of the root of the suffering, we are only really conscious of the symptom, and we think that external events and people have the power to completely shake up our world and destroy us. But when you reach a place of peace within yourself and you release the negative patterns and all those extra layers of like negative emotions and, you know, darkness and the feeling of being stuck, there could be a storm going on around you and you would be like, psh, whatever, you know, because you're so strongly grounded within yourself when you reach that place of peace within yourself. And it is possible, because, you know, I did it. If I can do it, you can do it, definitely. I know that, like, in this age, there's so many self-help books and gurus, and they're all doing, like, a positive service to the world, but I do think it can be a bit confusing. You know, all these words are thrown around all the time: self-love, acceptance, and, you know, power, and it can be very daunting, especially when you're coming at it like when you're hurt, when you're going through something and you're coming at it from like a completely new perspective. You've never really experienced anything like that before, and it can be like, okay, I'm reading these words, but I don't really know what they mean. I've never really felt what does it really mean to self-love, you know, what does it mean to be peaceful, what does it even mean to be grounded or centered. Yeah, I totally get that, because I had no knowledge of any of these things, you know, hadn't even really heard these words before I went through that breakup and then used this technique, and then it all kind of like fell in place, you know. So the technique is called Zpoint, and its creator is a man called Grant Connolly, and he actually comes from an IT background, and he kind of made this technique he kind of made it as built upon the idea of a computer, like a hard drive of a computer. So he basically realized that the subconscious works in the same way as a computer hard drive. And when you give a command to a computer hard drive to delete something, you know, you just press the delete and then it just deletes that thing. You know, you don't have to like keep prodding the computer and being like, have you deleted it? Have you deleted it? Like, you know, you just give the command, the computer understands that you want to delete everything in this folder or whatever, you know? So let's say that folder is called like guilt or whatever. In the same way, like what Zpoint does is gives the command to your subconscious, and you can set an intention. The intention is the command, and you say, I want to release everything to do with grief, you know, all the grief that I'm feeling right now. And you don't have to figure out all the things that are causing you grief. All you have to do is you imagine a white circle of light in front of you, and you use this keyword. You can make up your own keyword. Grant recommends the keyword yes. I would also recommend it. It's better to have a keyword that doesn't really have any connotations. If you use yes, it's kind of like saying yes to like allowing the technique to work. So there's like a line that will be spoken before. So you can say, I released all the ways I feel grief. And then you just say yes, 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 while imagining, just gently, like, not even imagining, like just picturing it all going into the circle. You don't have to do any like active imagination, you know. You could, though, like, you know, because visually it might like help you along to imagine all the grief going into the circle. But actually the technique is working at such a deep level that you don't like think that you're consciously doing anything, because you're not. It's working at a subconscious level. So once you've read the initial like statement to your mind, that's it. It's there in your mind forever. You never have to read it again. And yeah, so Grant has made loads and loads of like recordings for different kinds of, you know, suffering. So like grief, or like lack of self-esteem, or, you know, worry, and like lack of financial abundance, or whatever. So all of the things that happen to us are really because of like patterns within ourselves. And what Zpoint does is just help you release the pattern. And what I found out was that, as I said, you know, before Zpoint, I didn't know about any of these things such as self-love, etc., etc. It's only after I started using it that those things just happened naturally. Like, you know, it was suddenly like I was connected to this universal energy, because I had let go of so much like darkness and, you know, heavy emotions and these dark clouds, that I had suddenly connected to this part of myself that just automatically led me towards the things that I needed to go towards. So, you know, automatically started looking up self-love, etc. And I automatically started like, you know, feeling it, because I think it's harder to come at things like self-love and acceptance. It's harder to come at them with a perspective of like, you know, doing something like, oh, from today I'm going to start self-loving. Although that works as well, but for me it worked more in the way of like all the negative layers fell away, and then I returned back to self-love, which was already in me, and it's in all of us. Like self-love, peace, when we let go of all the negative emotions, we go back to that, you know, space within ourselves where those things are already there, and from that space you can create those things even more, as opposed to like, you know, not releasing all the negativity and then trying to, you know, build upon those things from that angle. So yeah, and you know, everyone has their own journey. For me, after I had done Zpoint for a while, you know, I just felt like I had never felt before, and I can't stress this enough. Like, you know, this is not some gimmick. This is absolutely true. You know, I'm not getting paid by Grant to do this. You know, this is absolutely my own experience. I mean, this technique was introduced to me by a friend, you know, it wasn't even Grant who introduced it. I had never heard of it before. And, you know, I was in such a bad place, and my friend was like, look, it seems like you really want to move on, so I'm gonna like teach this to you. I know it's a bit unorthodox, but just give it a go. And another point, you know, people, you know, obviously meditation is like a very popular thing now. And people talk about, you know, meditation, mindfulness, and like, you know, be mindful. And obviously, you know, being mindful is like really the best thing you can do for yourself. But I know that if you have never meditated before, it can take you years to even get to that place where you can quieten your mind, because, you know, we're really on autopilot. Our minds are on autopilot. All our thoughts, emotions just go in like circles and circles and circles, and it's just, if you're trying it for the first time, you know, it can be very hard to break out of that. So what Zpoint does is basically kind of like an accelerated sort of meditation. So you repeat the keyword, and as you keep repeating that, you kind of go into like this deep trance, like this very deep peaceful state. And it's basically what you would experience in a meditation, you know. And it's a different world once you get there. Like, you know, once you wake up out of Zpoint, you'll look around and be like, oh my god, people are crazy. You know, like, gosh, you look around and be like, how do people survive without how do people survive without clearing their head every day? How do people survive without clearing their emotions every day? Like, can't believe how many people are running on autopilot, you know, with the old junk being circulated, you know, getting into the same kind of relationships, getting into the same kind of situation, you know. So yeah, Zpoint will really help you break out of that. And I just think that you know, it's exciting to think of how much more peace there will be in the world when everyone can feel this kind of love for themselves, you know, love and freedom, and like freedom from negativity. So definitely give it a go. I've put the link for the Zpoint website under this video. Go on it. When you go on the website, you'll see on the left there'll be like a free Zpoint ebook or something. Click on that. That will give you like a you know, a proper description of what it's like and everything, you know, how Grant came up with it, etc. And yeah, and if you have any questions about it, you can either put them in the comments below, or you can email Grant. He's really nice like that, you know, although he's the creator of it. You would think he wouldn't have like time, but he will like definitely respond to you. And yeah, I mean, if you're ready to move on, let's go. Let's move on. You know, if you're watching this video, I assume you've done pretty much everything else to try and get over that breakup or that grief, or try and get out of the situation. So really, you've got nothing to lose. Yeah, give it a go. With all my heart, I recommend that you try this, and I really hope that it will bring you the peace that it brought me. And I send you a lot of love. Bye bye.